or you're sort of unduly influenced, they would say no. None of us believe that we are. But then if you ask...
But if you said, do you interact in groups and forums with a bunch of people that you don't know, the answer would be
100% be yes.
But what I'm saying is that the average person doesn't believe that they're unduly influenced. But if you ask them, do you think other people are, they would say yes.
David, of course, it's like, when you're having a fucking Slurpee, it's like, do you think that this is unduly going to hurt you? No.
It's 1,200 calories of liquid sugar. All right. I think we beat this horse to death. There's no solution, just on the edges. But let's go to Amazon, because I thought that this was a particularly interesting one. Amazon, I thought, came out the best of everybody and is the least likely to be broken up. I think some of you agree with that. What were your impressions on Amazon's performance and Amazon in terms of being broken up? Let's start with you, Friedberg, and then we'll go back to Chamath.
I think the intention of antitrust law is obviously to protect consumers and protect markets and protect market pricing from being manipulated by monopolists or monopolies. And so, the point that was made about Walmart years ago is the same point that's being made about Amazon today, which is that they're crushing small local businesses. And as a result, there is a lot of damage being done, and they are, quote unquote, too powerful. But the reality is that the pricing effect of what they're doing is what needs to ultimately be scrutinized, and I think is what will ultimately drive whether or not these guys have either some massive penalty or get forced to break up. And so you ask yourself the question, look, if I'm going to buy, call it a mattress, or let's use something like a pillow. Is it cheaper for me to buy that pillow as a consumer through Amazon or from the local store? Now, what if the local store is put out of business because of Amazon? And now Amazon is the only place I can get a pillow. Is the pillow now going to be more expensive or less expensive than it would have been otherwise? And I think that is the lens by which we need to kind of assess, and the regulators will ultimately assess whether or not Amazon is causing harm in the marketplace because of its position and its power.
Friedberg?
Look, I have several businesses that sell on Amazon. And it is fucking expensive. One of my companies I'm on the board of, we've been the number one food product on Amazon multiple times. And we kind of slide up and down the top 10.
Can you say what that is?
Yeah, Soylent. And so we sell a lot of Soylent on Amazon.
Yeah.
It is expensive, man. I mean, the fulfillment, the shipping, the advertising fees they force you to pay. I will tell you that as a business owner or board member of a business that sells, and I have several others that sell on Amazon too, it is a grind. And it is cheaper for us to sell directly through Shopify.
Well, why don't you just raise the price on Amazon?
So to some extent, Amazon, this is actually part of the problem. So Amazon forces certain best pricing negotiations. If you're a large seller on Amazon, you have to make sure, in order for them to promote you and make you kind of a sponsored item and show you at the top of the list, you have to give them the best deal, sort of like what Walmart does, right? You can't have a cheaper price anywhere else.
Got it. So that was something that did not come up. They force you to have the best price there, even if you charge more on your website. In
these negotiated deals, yeah. And so you have to make sure that you're providing, and I'm not sure what the deal is specifically with Soylent, so I don't want to kind of speak incorrectly here.
No, I've heard the same thing from other folks. What if Soylent...
That is kind of part of what happens. And so I will tell you, like, it is cheaper for me to sell Soylent. I think it's cheaper for some of these products to be sold. I can tell you my other company, which we sell quinoa, it's cheaper for us to sell through retail stores than it is to sell on Amazon. We actually give up more margin selling on Amazon.
Then why would you do it?
Because of the volume and because they've aggregated all the consumers. So
you've made the decision as an entrepreneur to sell your quinoa in all places, even though you lose some margin, you make it back in aggregate.
Well, this goes to the market.
Sounds like capitalism
the market
to
problem.
me.
Well, this goes to the market problem because now I have less choice as a business owner because the only place I can find consumers is in this online marketplace called Amazon. I can no longer go sell at 50 local grocery stores because people don't go to the friggin' local grocery stores anymore. And that's obviously a little bit of an extreme statement, but let's say I'm a pillow guy. I can't go sell at 50 pillow stores because they've all been shut down because all the consumers go to Amazon.
But could you also sell at Target and Walmart and those other competitors who seem to be doing just, pretty well, actually?
They're doing well, yeah. And a lot of people have said that they're the kind of, the exceptions, but there's 1,000 versions of Sears and other stores that haven't done as well. Walmart and Target just happen to be extremely well-run businesses, but there's nothing fundamental about those businesses. What if
Amazon kicked you off the platform and said, we're not going to allow third-party sellers? Would you be happier or would you be sadder?
It would be sadder.
Got it. Chamath, what are your thoughts? Amazon specific.
Yeah, I think David said it really well up front, which is that it's kind of a when and not an ifs. So it's, Amazon today, I don't think is at risk just because its end market is so big. But I think within 5 or 10 years, it definitely will be looked at through the same lens as Facebook and Google, and actually just those two. Look, and I think David said it also really well. Like the antitrust law that you would get, to be successful if applied to Facebook and Google has nothing to do with users and content, and it has everything to do with the pricing of the ads to their customers. And if anybody actually were smart enough to figure out whether there was some way in which their auctions were working that was effectively pricing inventory in a market, quote unquote, or in a system manipulated way, that's probably the best hook to nab one of these folks in antitrust law. But other than that, it's going to be regulation. In terms of Amazon, I think they're going to get away unscathed. What's incredible, by the way, is, 2 days later, they're like, hey, by the way, we just got an FCC license and we're going to launch a $10 billion satellite constellation. And, if you looked at their RFP to the FCC, the number of people that, basically complained and cried, it was incredible.
By the way, I think this is a huge, important point that we haven't made, which is the benefit of scale for large, innovative companies. There is no way any company would have out of the blue been able to afford a $10 billion distributed satellite program without having customers and all this other stuff lined up. Amazon can afford to take that risk, just like Alphabet has taken the risk with self-driving cars and did so before anyone else for many years.
Which is a net benefit for society, correct, David?
Which is a net benefit for society. So by having scale, by having incredible profits, and then by reinvesting it in R&D, creating jobs, innovating, it's the only way this kind of stuff is going to get done. You're not going to get it done by breaking up these companies and having 100 companies that only have $10 million of profit each. And then each of them are, no one at all can afford to do these grand, important projects that move markets forward.
Ultimately, for humanity, Friedberg, you see these $1 trillion plus companies as, because they can make those big swings, a net benefit for humanity.
As a technologist and as a kind of person that hopes for the future, I hope that they that these sorts of companies can continue to persist, and that they're led by people that want to take innovative risk with R&D dollars. And by the way, if they don't, they're going to fucking fail eventually, right? It's these guys that are leading these companies and putting these crazy bets on crazy new ideas that are allowing these businesses to remain competitive. And if they didn't, and some big company manager were to come in and start running these things and distributing cash and dividends back to shareholders, these wouldn't be happening. And capitalism would take care of itself. And then the next big innovative risk taker that can generate a profit and reinvest that profit in a smart way would end up winning in the marketplace. So,
Sacks, you are a big investor in SpaceX at Craft Ventures, I understand. And when you see Bezos copy every single thing Elon does, from